Namaste, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. So, brothers and sisters, I was right. And again, let me state that again. I was right. I stated that India did lose aircraft, even though it wasn't disclosed. I put out a previous video stating that. It was confirmed by the Indian government and the Indian military that they did lose aircrafts. And one of the reasons, I cited the reasons why they lost the aircraft, okay? And I said that they repeated the mistake of 1962, they repeated the mistake of Balakot, and you know, they did the same nonsense. You know, the Indian military, the Indian Air Force did not have to lose any aircrafts, okay? Basically, the Indian government, the way they plan this, the parameters that they give the Indian Air Force, ensured that aircrafts would be lost, okay? And I said that there needs to be a doctrinal shift, okay? I know there's the Modi's doctrine, but that does not go far enough. That still limits the Indian military from achieving their full capacity, okay? India's military is very capable, highly capable. India as a nation is highly capable. There's very few nations that can defeat India, okay? But I must say this. Indian government, not the Indian military, but Indian government policies is what limits the Indian military and Indian military prowess, okay? You know, they limit, you have to be a bit aggressive. Keep your arrow sharp and take decisive actions, okay? As I outlined before, when the terrorists attacked India and they struck innocent, unalive innocent victims in Pahalgam, that was Pakistan using one of its two strategic assets. And I said this before, Pakistan has two strategic assets. It's nuclear weapons and terrorists, okay? And terrorists, for them, terrorists is a gray area, not because it's a gray area, but because India, Bharat, accepts it as a gray area, okay? I'm glad to see that Modi has decided that a terrorist act on Bharat is considered a military act, an act of war. I have said this years ago. I've said this years ago. The Indian government is lagging. It's lagging, okay? And I believe I said this, that when it comes to all things military, I have a more or less a savant type ability when it comes to these things. I've always been attracted and enamored and intrigued by all things military, including military history, okay? And I pointed out in one of my videos that you know, the operation in Longewal, the Battle of Longewal, how it was just two countries making mistake after mistake after mistake, and it was the Pakistanis that outdid the Indians in making mistake, that allowed the Indians to win. And thank God Major Chandpuri was in charge, okay? Because in the face of overwhelming odds, okay, and when I say overwhelming odds, I'm not just talking about dealing with the Pakistani, but dealing with the ineptitude, okay, and the mediocrity of the Indian leadership back then, which was the Congress Party. He was able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Let's not downplay his bravery and his strategic thinking, okay? But India seems to be repeating this pattern again and again and again. There need not be any loss of capital assets. I hope that this is the last time. And I said in my previous video that Pakistan will launch another military act, okay? And when I say military act, terrorist act against India. This is a guarantee. It's going to happen. And the reason it's going to happen is to rally Pakistani as a cohesive unit, as a nation against Bharat as an external threat. Okay? Pakistan does not care about the losses of Pakistanis. They do not. Okay? The Pakistani military, okay, the largest number of their victims are Pakistanis. Okay? When Bangladesh was East Pakistan and therefore Pakistanis, the Pakistani army, unalive, millions of them. And the woman, you know what, I don't want to say because I don't want YouTube demonetizing or censoring or, removing my videos. But you know what they did to the woman, right? So the Pakistanis are very good. The Pakistani military are very good at waging war against the Pakistani people. They have a history of doing that. So do not think that Pakistani lives matter to the Pakistani establishment, the Pakistani government, or the Pakistani military. It does not. And they're willing to expend more than 50% of the Pakistani population to achieve a goal. And when I say achieve a goal, I'm being sarcastic because they cannot, unless it's against themselves, but right now they seem to be feeling against themselves because Baloch are going their own way. The people in POK wants to merge with India. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa want to go their own way. Sindh wants to go its own way, which leaves Punjab masquerading as Pakistan, trying to hold everything together so that they can drain the resource of the other provinces, right? That's what they do. Yeah. So, but anyway, I was right. And let me point out to you again. I am pro-Modi, I am pro-India, and I'm pro-Indian military. Okay? But I said we need to confront our shortcomings, our weakness, if we are to emerge stronger and better. Okay? Modi is the best leader Bharat has ever had, if I'm not counting Sardar Patel. If I'm counting Sardar Patel, Modi is the second. Okay? But Modi is not decisive nor strong enough for Bharat. He's not. Okay? He's not. And I'm going to say this again. All these subsidies and stuff that's and wasteful spending that's going everywhere needs to be stopped, and you need to channel 4% of GDP towards an indigenous military complex with participation from the private sector under stringent conditions. Help the private sector to set up, highly automated factories, highly cutting edge technology, everything, but indigenize rapidly. Okay? You don't need to produce cutting edge, but near cutting edge is good enough, because if you know how to use it, you will emerge victorious. And if you have a constant supply, you will emerge victorious. Okay? You will emerge victorious. India has a golden opportunity that is being squandered right now. It's being squandered. If it harnesses everything perfectly, it can emerge as an economic and military superpower. And that will also enhances its cultural power. Okay? So, I hope Modi and I hope the Indian military establishment truly have a pivot. Don't drive into a wall and then decide, oh, okay, let's start this over again after you crash one vehicle. Let's take a next car and don't drive into the wall. No, don't do that. Do not do that. I have said in my previous video before the military admit to it that Based on what I've seen and I've observed, India did lose aircraft, and it did not lose aircraft because of Pakistan and any dogfights. It lost aircraft because of how they tied basically the pilots, one arm behind their back, and give them stringent objectives to achieve. No, set goals for them to achieve. Set the goals, because a military, an act of war had already been committed. Okay, and you go forward. It's like American style football. When the guys run into the other end for touchdown, you have people on both sides there knocking anybody out of his way. Use that. You hit your target, but anybody that's coming to impede you, you remove them. Okay? Don't even wait for them to get there. You remove them immediately. This is how any further and future military action should be planned. Okay? Somebody please point this out to Modi. Point it out to the Indian military establishment. Let them see their shortcomings so that they can correct it. Okay? Don't correct it after you've made a mistake. Don't make a mistake to begin with. Mistakes are costly in war. Mistakes are very costly in war. Do not repeat it again. It happened in 1962, it happened in Balakot, it happened in 1971, and it happened again. Please stop making expensive mistakes, costly mistakes. Okay? Because then you will revert to tolerating terrorist strikes against you. Don't do that. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to end here. Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna.